Good afternoon, Scott Redler, T3 Live. Welcome to today's recap, Friday's recap. Yes, it is 5 after 4, and it's been a long week. It's been a long month, and hopefully you've been on the right side of this rally because it's been very sound on a technical basis. If you've been tuning into the morning call, the recap, watching everything that we do on the virtual trade floor with Mark's Trader Chat, we've really been trying to embrace this rally, hold multiple positions, take as much out of it as possible. And you're going to read the headlines all weekend long about the best month in could be 2 decades, the best 2 weeks and ever. Like, you're going to be seeing some historic headlines, and some people it's going to rub the wrong way because they're like, what, all the solutions or all the proposals for solutions in Europe aren't going to work, but they might not work in 2 years from now, or in a year from now, or 6 months from now. So when you're trading short term, you have to just watch the action, and the action has been telling a different story every step of the way. The technicals have pointed to higher prices, and we're going to keep watching that to see what type of rate or speed continues, because even on a day like today, after a huge move like yesterday, the indices pretty much digested the move very well. We held above the 200-day, that 1275, but there were stocks that tactically you committed a lot of money. So at this point, maybe if you don't want to be in macro longs or just trading like the ETFs for a move because we're 16% off the lows, there's still a lot of action and setups, and it's going to be throughout all the different second, third, fourth tier stocks. So make sure you get that price point sheet every morning because I have about 30 stocks on there with different action areas that could be good for cash flow and could be good to hold because there are some stocks also poised to make new move highs in the course of the next month that you could just hold and not really actively trade. So real quickly on the S&P, let's just quickly do the anatomy of the trade. I do it every day because I want you guys to see it. This was that reversal day. This was that day to take notice. I sent out an email blasting everyone, almost spamming people, saying switch gears here. The bears lost control. This was also very, very important right here. Went sideways, didn't pull in, didn't retrace, commitment to the move, broke this mini downtrend, and powered ahead right back to that 1220, 1228 area. Okay, that was resistance. It was choppy in here. Did we pull back to the 50-day? No. Did we fall apart? No. So from there, we pushed through to make new highs at 1256, and then what happened? We retested that 1220 to 1228 level, another technical test. Then we exploded, and today was an inside day. So now the question is, how do you handle the next few weeks? It all depends on your time frame. For me, I tried to go to cash today, and then all of a sudden I saw a lot of setups, and I'm like, you know what? I don't have to be in a macro longs. Now what I want to do is I want to hold positions that I like that still look set up, and maybe short a little spiders just in case we open down, just in case some headlines hit, so I can maneuver. All right, some stocks real quickly that I think could have good setups for next week. First things first, I just got to go over Apple. Apple's been in this range now. This was the disappointing earnings, held the 50-day, kind of holding higher. I do think we're going to get some kind of trade into this gap for the active trader. Above this 409, you're going to see it quick. Some long, some I'm hoping to see a move into that area, and then at some point, probably new highs. I want to show you the same type of trade that I was looking for in IBM that worked actually yesterday. Here you go. IBM came out with earnings, wasn't enough on this day, came in, held support. This was for you dip buyers. A little bit of a push into the gap, nothing so extreme. Came back, retested this uptrend, and now look, filled the gap, not a problem, gap's out of the way, and this stock probably makes new highs at some point. A different setup, because there are a lot of different setups. Amazon, all over the news. Didn't pre-announce, earnings weren't enough, stock got crushed, didn't participate in the rally, held the 200-day, and then for an investor who's been holding it for the long term, you're in the penalty box, but for a trader, once a stock trades into that gap, gaps tend to get filled, or a portion of them, and the volume was awesome. So guys that were playing it for cash flow, maybe not investors, you've been very handsomely rewarded as an investor for Amazon, so if you're in the penalty box, just get over it. But if you look at it as a trader, you'll see nice push here. Okay, this was the earnings move, held the 200-day, inched up, and then once it crossed this 208, look at this nice tactical trade to fill this gap. Good for cash flow. Okay, does it mean that it could probably go a little bit higher? Yeah, maybe we open lower, trade through today's high, fill more of the gap, and then it probably pauses right around there and then builds a whole new pattern or a new base, and then we'll see what happens next quarter. But for right now, just an active trade versus an investment. A lot of other trades that I think are developing. Groupon's coming out next week, so some of the stocks that perhaps could perk up so then the underwriters could get a good response to Groupon. One of them was LinkedIn, and we talked about it early. LinkedIn is one of the chosen ones. If they want to get a great IPO out of out of Facebook and out of Groupon, they better get this going. And for me, this is a nice, tight pattern. Look at this. 94, nice wide range bar today. You want to put in some volume? You know what? I'll put in some volume for the boys and girls. Let's get some volume in here. Let's see what happened, okay? Can't really see 100%, but decent volume today. So I took some of that, and I think above this 94-ish area, and we're going to be back at $100, right back to those highs. Stock overall, as far as an IPO, nice accumulation going on here, guys. Never really pulled in. This almost looks a little bit like, get rid of this, a nice little cup building a handle, and it could be off to the races. Very heavily shorted, very thin flowed, probably in the right hands for now. So as a trade, ignited today. Remember this time over here? This is also a tactic. When it broke this mini downtrend that had it listed, consolidating again, looks like it can go. I don't care about the valuation. I care about the price action and the control. The valuation will catch up at another time. Even Netflix, some man's trash was another's treasure, and we talked about it getting into that gap and another gap trade. If you look at Netflix, not an investment, not going to make any new highs anytime too soon, but for a trade, not so bad. Right, it was up $3-4 today, a little choppy. Take a little bit out of it. As far as some other setups that I think, this Tizu. Tizu has been a favorite for, it has squeezes. Sometimes it's a favorite, sometimes it's not. Supposedly, it's in the same group, obviously, as Groupon. And there's talk now that if Groupon gets well received at the price that it's supposed to be, that Tizu's valuation, the same valuation, would be 60 or so. I'm not exactly sure, but somewhere in that area. So I said, let me just take a look at the chart. Look at the chart of Tizu. It looks like it makes some sense here, right? Look at the chart. Look how tight it is. Look how today some volume came in. It's trying to clear a level that it hasn't cleared in a while. If this thing gets through this, what is this, 34, you probably see a squeeze up to 40, 43.50. So you connect some dots, how you have a heavily shorted stock, decent price pattern, an exciting IPO next week. Get involved with some cash flow. Remember those other little guys we talked about, that were perking up, that once the rally continues, you're going to see big gains out of some of these, left for dead stocks, whether it was Ren. Doesn't look like much, but look at this move today. I tried it on this day, and then I didn't stay with it, and now look at it this day. That's a nice move. This was the Facebook of China. Another one, let's see what a Dang did. That was another, well, look at that. Perked up on this day, went sideways, never pulled in. Powerful move. Okay, doesn't matter that it's a broken stock. Doesn't matter that it was a horrible IPO. It doesn't matter that it was at $30. You know what? Here's your new entry. Here's a new strategy. Take it for what it's worth, and go with it. At this point, it could clear. I think I drew this line back when I was buying it on this day. Unfortunately, I didn't stay with it. I was trading the big boys, so to speak. And now this $8 is right here. Let's see Yoku. Yoku, I think, had bad numbers, but they forgot about it. Now look at this thing. This thing seems like it's going to be getting through this 23, and this too could be off to the races. So a lot of stocks discounting earnings, a lot of situations just being blown off, and the price action is giving everyone conviction to move around, make money, hold a macro portfolio, but then also look for some cash flow. Today I thought it was cute. Beauvais came out and upgraded Goldman Sachs. I'm like, where were you when it triggered at 98.50? Where were you when it triggered at 104.75? So you want to, upgrade it at 116? I guess that's why analysts get paid so much money. I guess not. Anyway, you look at Goldman Sachs. This was that reversal day. This was that 98.50 that I felt was very important. Why did I feel like it was important? Because it broke this downtrend, had a nice move up, came back, retested it, didn't break below it, didn't fall apart, and also it did this on a day when it reported bad earnings, so it showed it's priced in, because obviously look where Goldman Sachs was at some point, way back when. So maybe the earnings was priced in, so that's why it made sense. People are like, why is it going up? Bad earnings, whatever. It's just the rules, the rule of the market. So anyway, 98.50, this was your other entry when it broke above this flag pattern at 140, 104.75. And then now it's holding up right around here in front of resistance. You know what? If it goes sideways again, we'll get another nice trade above this recent high for a push perhaps into the 120s or this moving average. But I just love how they, everyone loves to upgrade things after a big move, which just gets me pissed. Anyway, at this point, the banks coming into resistance, great move. A lot of them from from JP Morgan to Morgan Stanley to all those. I'm not going to go over the strategies there, but they also held higher and they've continued higher. GE, mentioned to buy it yesterday in the chat room. Guys loved it. Still hanging in there. I still think this can go higher. OAHs, hanging tough. You know, look at this gap up, holding near the high. Stocks in this group look very strong. This can continue. I see a lot of commitment to this move, and I know we're very overbought, and we'll probably work it off. So as we work it off, we wait for new patterns to set up. You know, I know the Fed's meeting next week, so maybe they try and, with a little tricky, they try and pull it in a little bit, because if they want Big Ben to come out and, you know, do more measures to support, you know, the market, or QE3 or whatever you want to call it, it's pretty, I would say, insulting for them to run the market to 1,300 and then ask for some kind of support from the Fed when, you know, unemployment's still not moving up yet, and you still have some problems in housing, and the Fed's mandate is not to boost up the stock market. It's a little different, but anyway. And then you have the jobs number next Friday, so if they run it into both of those, it could sell off. So I'd rather see them pull back a little bit so it's not as priced in. As far as what else were guys trading today? I think guys had some, you know, GMCR, nice trade down here. I know it got beat up. This was when you should have sold it, or when it broke here, and now after this reversal, you know, nice little bounce. Not saying it's a rock star, but for a trade, it's okay. Maybe it has a little bit more room. You know, I would just stay with it intraday, just because it is very speculative. I think Visa, nice looking pattern. Look, nice chart. This is one of the select few that seems like it's going to make a 52-week high. This looks pretty good. Tried to poke through right there. Let's see what Under Armour's doing up here. Under Armour, this is when it broke this downtrend, hanging at the highs. Looks really good. Let's see what Lulu came back in the game. Really nice. This is when it woke up on this day, went sideways, and now look. So this too seems poised and ready to go. There's a lot of participation everywhere. Even like a little guy, not even a little guy, it's a huge guy, but it's battered and bruised stock that it doesn't matter if you were not in it. Today was your day. You could have got in it on X. U.S. Steel, right? Small little company. No. Huge company. Huge volume, and broke this mini downtrend. They drew this the other day, and now look, waking up. This thing, why can't this get to 30, 35? That'll help the indices. That'll help that group. FCX, let's see what that's doing. FCX, after the huge reversal that we talked about way back when, held in there, gapped up, couldn't pull in, couldn't fill the gap, and now it's doing it again. Not as compelling up here, but still, a lot of things going on. Like gold, let's talk about gold. Gold too, wow. Want to take a look at me or the chart? Let's go to the chart. Anyway, there's that igniting bar above this downtrend, right? Broke up, held higher, and it's still holding higher. I think it's got room to fill this gap, but I would just be in tier one. The trade, or the easy trade on gold, in my opinion, took place right there. So I just showed you different stocks in different tiers, from your leaders to your second, third, and fourth tier stocks that have been setting up, to some commodity plays, some retail plays, some there's a lot going on. So don't have a bias. Don't be stubborn. Don't say, you know, I missed the move and I hate the stock market. I'm never going to do it again. It just means you're not approaching it the right way. If you fought this move and you're still caught short, I don't know what to tell you at this point, except for you better have deep pockets or a lot of patience. If you think that maybe what happened or on Wednesday night could happen and have an effect on Europe, it probably does. And Europe is not going to have a super growth anytime soon. They're going to have to work through all the excess. They're going to have to work through austerity. They're going to have to actually work and not just collect pensions and retire, you know, well earlier than us in the U.S. And, you know, with all due respect to anyone from Europe watching this, it's time for everyone to get a little hustle. Little hustle goes a long way. We all try and hustle. We all try to make money. We all try and work hard. And if you do that, you could get ahead. If you take accountability for what you're trying to do, even guys looking for a job, you know what? Stop occupying Wall Street and everywhere around the country. Go look for a job and redefine or refine your skill set to get hired. And if you don't think the job is up to your standards, take a job that is out there. You know, feed your family some way. Don't just sit there and think that it's something that's going to come to you, because it never does. Same way a trade and a setup could sit in front of you, but you're not going to execute it unless you hit your keys. You're not going to make money unless you have a defined plan. And at this point, it's been a great month. We could use some consolidation. Still a lot of good setups out there. You know, keep just moving forward and just keep getting better. And Halloween, I think, is Monday. It's one of my favorite holidays. So make sure if you're going to parties this weekend, have a good time. If you're single, definitely go out, It's a great time out, especially if you're in the East Coast in New York City. You know, on Halloween, people like to have excuses to dress up real funny looking. Anyway, if you want to be with your family, it's also a lot of fun as far as dressing up with your kids and go out, trick or treat, spend some time. There's a lot of things to be happy about. You know, I know misery loves company, but misery gets you nowhere. It's not constructive, and it's just not good for anyone, especially yourself. So with all that said, I'm just going to call it a close. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you Monday morning at the call. Alex will be back, and I'm looking forward to having her. Have a great weekend.